Hi guys, it's Anders. I just want to have a real quick look with you at this Brauer Motion Plugin that's come out from Waves. What it's really trying to do is be an auto panner on steroids. So it's in line with what Waves are doing a lot of at the moment, and that's really making these Swiss Army knife style plugins where they're taking something that is done in a lot of mixing processes, and there's lots of trickery and things that go into making things like auto panners where you use phasing and chorusing and things to create certain effects, and they're putting all of these effects into one plugin. So with sort of less knowledge and less complexity, you're able to create these complex things, and that's really what Motion is here doing. And my first impression of it is pretty impressive. It gives some really good spatial effects. It's got a nice GUI, and the way it's all laid out sort of makes sense, having you have panel 1 and 2, and you can get one going sort of round circular motion using a bit of psychoacoustic ability to generate that feeling that it's circling, and then you've just got a standard left and right, and then there's lots of parameters that go into making changes to those sounds. Okay, so a really quick overlook of the GUI, because I'm still getting used to this. It's not been out very long. You've got panner 1 and 2 at the top here, or working separately, or you can link the two together. Now below that we've got sync free input, which is transient based. It'll work on the transient input of the material. As you can see, you can adjust the sensitivity here, or manual, so you can set it up for yourself. The sync mode obviously offers like the number of bars and beats in the way that you would sync an LFO, for example, and then it's got LFO modulation types there. Now the trigger type below here, think of it sort of like a ADSR, in that it will trigger once, it will repeat over and over, that kind of thing, with various set of parameters and the curves you can have it working on. And then the dynamics of how that works also change as well. Direct output working off of panel 1 or off, for example. Then you've got an input balance of all of them around here at the bottom, as well as a mix knob, so you can have parallel going on, and a BPM sync down the bottom here for the LFO syncing features. What I've done here is just put some samples into a track. Just literally grabbed a few samples just to make this. And then I've just applied some slightly different settings to each part of that audio, and it gives us this. There's a lot of interest straight away. If we just take the drums, you wouldn't necessarily do this in a drum track, but perhaps on parts of the drums you could absolutely play around with the panning and movement of them and get certain effects. So if we have it turned off here, you've got static drums, and then it'll introduce it, and this is just literally patch 1 default. It's really interesting the way it grabs that and pans different bits of the audio around. Really finding that interesting, and I like the way the GUI sort of gives you a readout of the dynamics in this globe here. The globe being your 360 perception of audio. The space that's open here is where you can have that audio placed at any one time. We've done something slightly different on the piano, used another one of the presets. As you can see, it's more of a narrow field rather than doing that full loop there. It's more of just a traditional auto pan, and then the hats just here, slightly different again. Just taking us around the world there, nice and quick. Ah, that hasn't saved. And just taking us around the world there, nice and quick. Overall, guys, it seems to be a really interesting. Overall, guys, it seems to be a really interesting spatial plugin. There's nothing in here that you could never do beforehand, but you would be panning stuff with automation, bringing in EQs to adjust the balance as it moved around and things. It's just simplifying that process of adjusting and placing things in a mix. I'm going to keep having to play around with it, and I will do a full in-depth tutorial on how to use it fairly soon. See you on the next one, guys.